I suppose there is. I mean, I suppose what we did was give it up. We actually did give it up.
There are goodbyes we hear out loud, and then there are the quiet ones that echo forever. John Deacon's silence after Freddie Mercury's passing was one such farewell. No press conferences, no tearful tributes, just a quiet man stepping away from a world that no longer felt whole. For fans of Queen, it was both mysterious and deeply moving. John wasn't the loudest member of the band. In fact, he rarely said much at all. But through every bass line and every lyric he quietly contributed, you could hear his heart beating behind the music. And when that heart lost one of its closest companions, Freddie, everything changed. Long before the world knew his name, John Deacon was a soft-spoken boy from Leicester who found comfort in circuits and sound. While other kids played outside, John buried himself in electronics magazines and built homemade gadgets. His mind worked in quiet brilliance, fascinated by how things connected, how music could be captured, and how something small could carry something so powerful. Music didn't shout its way into his life. It hummed in softly. At just 14, he joined his first school band, not as a frontman, but as the steady force behind the rhythm. His love for soul music gave his playing a smooth, emotional edge that stood out even when he didn't try to. And when he later joined Queen, he didn't just bring bass. He brought balance, stability, and a deep understanding of sound few could match. What made John extraordinary wasn't fame or flamboyance. It was how much he gave even when saying very little. His talent wasn't loud, it was lasting. And behind Queen's powerful performances was a quiet genius building foundations no spotlight could ever fully reveal. On stage, Freddie Mercury was fire, bold, fearless, and impossible to ignore. John Deacon was water, calm, steady, and quietly essential. Their energies were opposite, yet somehow they fit together perfectly. Behind the flashing lights and roaring crowds, a deep, unspoken bond was forming, one that would shape both their lives. Freddie, known for his warmth behind closed doors, saw something special in John. He understood John's shyness and took him under his wing. They weren't just bandmates, they became confidants, often traveling together and forming a quiet partnership within the band. Freddie once said, "Don't underestimate him. He's got a fiery streak under all that." That trust and respect went both ways, and it ran deep. As Queen's music soared across decades, their friendship became the silent thread holding it all together. John didn't need the spotlight. Freddie carried that with grace. But behind every groundbreaking performance, every evolution in Queen's sound, was a bond rooted in loyalty, admiration, and emotional honesty. And when that bond was broken, the silence that followed said more than words ever could. When Freddie Mercury passed away in November 1991, it wasn't just the end of a musical era, it was the end of something deeply personal for John Deacon. While millions mourned a legend, John lost a dear friend, a creative partner, and perhaps the only person who truly understood his place in the band. The silence that followed wasn't just grief, it was heartbreak. John played only a few more times after Freddie's death. One last tribute here, one quiet performance there. And then he was gone. No more tours. No interviews. No photos. While Brian May and Roger Taylor kept Queen's spirit alive on stage, John retreated completely. He didn't want to replace Freddie. He didn't want to recreate something that no longer felt whole. To the outside world, it looked like he disappeared. But to those who understood, it was clear, John's music had always been for the people he made it with. And without Freddie, the joy, the purpose, and the soul behind it had vanished. It wasn't about stepping away from fame. It was about letting go of something he loved in the most respectful way he knew how, in silence. Though John Deacon stepped away from the spotlight, he never truly left Queen behind. While he stopped performing and refused to speak publicly, he quietly remained involved, overseeing financial decisions, approving projects, and ensuring Queen's legacy was handled with care. It wasn't about walking away. It was about honoring Freddie's memory in the only way John knew how, by protecting what they built together. When Queen released the biopic Bohemian Rhapsody, John gave his blessing, but chose not to be involved. When tribute tours were launched, he respectfully declined. His silence wasn't bitterness, it was reverence. To him, Queen without Freddie wasn't Queen. And rather than chase the spotlight, he chose a quieter kind of loyalty, the kind that lasts beyond applause. John now lives a peaceful life in the same London home he bought with his first Queen paycheck. No interviews, no red carpets, just family, privacy, and quiet reflection. But even in that silence, his legacy sings loudly. Every beat of Another One Bites the Dust, every note of You're My Best Friend, is a reminder of a man who gave everything and asked for nothing in return. John Deacon may have left the stage, but his spirit never left the music. In every song Queen ever recorded, his presence still echoes, steady, soulful, and true. His decision to step away wasn't the end of his story. It was a quiet tribute to the bond he shared with Freddie Mercury and to a time in his life that meant everything. For those of us who grew up with Queen, John's journey is more than just a career. It's a lesson in love, loyalty, and letting go with grace. He reminds us that strength doesn't always need a spotlight. Sometimes it lives in the silence we choose to protect what matters most. What lessons can we learn from John Deacon's story? From his quiet strength to his enduring loyalty, there's so much to reflect on. If this story touched your heart, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your favorite Queen memory in the comments. We'll see you in the next one, with more timeless stories that still inspire.